the most wonderful time of the year. The NFL season kicks off this Thursday, and let us start a weekly coverage. Every Wednesday on all podcasts and platforms and YouTube, we are releasing the Productive Conversations NFL show. And we're starting with our preview of the entire season, and we'll make picks for week one. Today's crew for this is the two Alexes, Alex Renelio and Alex Young. The NFL season is finally upon us, and it's a very, very highly anticipated one.
Absolutely. I'm excited for this season more than in years past, for sure, with all the different storylines. We have a lot to break down. Probably one of the most stacked divisions in recent memory. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Can't wait.
Yeah, a lot of headlines, a lot of new faces and new places, and we got some retribution to invoke from last season. So let's make it happen.
Let's make it happen indeed. So the way this preview show is going to work, we're going to go through all the divisions in both conferences. Then we'll make our Super Bowl predictions, and then we'll make our week one picks as we did last year. So why don't we start with the AFC East? Obviously, you heard about this guy named Aaron Rodgers who joined the AFC East this year. He's going to be the quarterback of the Jets. And with so much anticipation, the Jets definitely are the hottest team coming in the NFL already. They will be watched like a shadow. Then we have the New England Patriots. What can Bill Belichick do? It seems like he has a lack of talent this year, and we can see what happens there. The Miami Dolphins made the playoffs last year. What can Tua do? Can he stay healthy? Can the team with after making a lot of upgrades in the offseason and then losing Jalen Ramsey in training camp, can they make a difference once the season progresses? And the Buffalo Bills, after their emotionally exhausting season they had, they could finally restart, but people think that they might have some internal problems that can make them advance. So, AFC East guys, who do you see coming out of this division?
This is a really, really tough one for me. I think for this, in terms of stacked divisions, I was talking about when we were introing, I think the AFC North and the AFC East are the two toughest divisions to pick this year.
Yeah.
I think now we're talking the East. I mean, you got the Bills, the Dolphins, the Patriots, and the Jets. The only team I see not doing well is the Patriots. In this division, like you said, lack of talent. Unless Mac Jones has a bounce back season, I don't know. But then you get the report that like Juju Smith-Schuster's knee is about to explode or something like that. So who knows
what a report! I
really,
saw that about to explode.
Yeah, I don't know. So everything's bizarre. So I kind of cast them out. But then you look at the other three, right? You got the Jets. Obviously, Rodgers there now, stacked offense. They have a top defense. And you got the Bills. You got the Dolphins. To me, I think it's the Bills division still. I like them a lot. I always have. I think Josh Allen is going to take another step forward. He played banged up the second half of the year. A lot of people kind of forget that he wasn't the same guy once he had his elbow injury. Mm-hmm. I think they're going to still win this division. I think the Jets are going to come in second. I think the Dolphins are being third. But I think it's going to be probably the most fun division to watch every week because there's always going to be something to look forward to in the AFC East. I think there's going to be so many storylines and so many important games early on. Usually, you have to wait till, midway through the year to determine. No, like week 4 could be something very important for the AFC East. So
Jets and Chiefs Bills, week 4.
Yeah. Like I think the Bills are still going to win this division, but I'm so invested to see what the Jets are going to do. And then the Dolphins seem like they're about to go all in. We hear a lot of Jonathan Taylor trade reports and stuff like that, but I think it's going to be a really, really fun division. Like I said, I've been saying before, I think the Bills still win, but I think the Jets and Dolphins are going to make their way to the playoffs for sure.
Yeah, I kind of have the same peel out with the hierarchy in this division. I have the Bills still cream of the crop at 12-5, followed by the Jets, then the Dolphins and the Patriots. The only team I see really, losing out would be the Pats, just because there's so many question marks from, an organizational framework standpoint. I think on paper they probably have the most. They have probably equal amount of talent, just in terms of the skill position guys. I mean, they got Zeke for pennies on the dollar. They got Harris and Stevenson in the backfield. They got Bourne, They got Montgomery, they got Devontae Parker, Matthew Slater, Juju, even though he's questionable at the moment, and you still got Gesicki and Hunter Henry. So I mean, they just got talent all over the place. It's just a matter of, from an organizational standpoint, how can they turn this offense? I think getting Bill O'Brien back in the saddle with Mac Jones, you're not going to waste a season like you did last year. But I just think that there's too many critical games. The AFC's loaded in terms of the schedule that they have, and I think that there's just too many teams week to week that they're trying to compete with. That even if they hang tough, they're going to have a tough time. And I think that this is the Bills to lose. I think that there may be some opportunities for some internal conflict, but at the end of the day, I think that they have more organizational structure than the Jets do. And I know everybody's excited about the Jets, but they still have to go prove it. And with the Dolphins, there's just a lot of health questions. I mean, that's always going to be the elephant in the room with that team.
Here's my thing with the Jets, and something I really think can be. I really am confident that a few things with the Jets. One is the biggest upgrade at the quarterback position, arguably ever. You have the schmuck and Zach Wilson go lose the job, and then you advance to Aaron Rodgers, who still clearly has a lot left in the tank, wants to play, and is more motivated than ever. Reading his interview with Peter King, all it took was how bad the Jets wanted him to come out. It ultimately made his decision from retiring and not retiring. And he has the weapons. I think obviously Garrett Wilson, offensive rookie of the year, he's going to be special. You have quite the running game as long as Breece Hall is healthy. And then Dalvin Cook, assuming the legal issues that are above his head don't derail that season, that's going to be good. Cole Hardman's also a valuable weapon. Even if ZJ Uzama had a bad year, he could bounce back. And Tyler Conklin's actually not that bad of a tight end either. And then obviously their defense is worldly. You have powerful pass rushers with Quentin Wilson, and then the best defensive back in the game, and Sauce Gardner in the mix there too. They're pretty intimidating. The only thing that could bring them down is if this offensive line cannot protect Aaron Rodgers, and then also if this coaching staff is ready for this jump up. People say like, oh, Aaron Rodgers really runs this team. What is Robert Saleh's real motives here? I mean, he motivated to win, but can he really motivate the players, I should say? Some people are really worried about that, as if he's too nice of a guy. So they have a big challenge in week 1 against this Bills team, who I agree too can make a push. But I don't know. I'm hearing things about maybe Stephon Diggs is unhappy, that maybe things aren't clicking as much. Only time will tell there. But it seems that my only concerns about Buffalo is for a team that didn't make too many adjustments, for teams who not going to have Von Miller again for the first 4 games of the year being on the PUP list. How are they going to make a big push at the end? And then with the Patriots themselves, Mac Jones is Mac Jones, and the college football season has so many stacked quarterbacks that I'm not going to say Bill Belichick will waste a year. He's not the guy to, but he's definitely going to live until 100 and coach until then too. And if all else fails, he will take one of these star-studded quarterbacks, don't you think? And then Miami is Miami. And I don't know if they're going to be as good as people seem, especially on the defensive side. Again, they did stack up, but they have to stall and make sure that they can at least come out of the first 6 games 3-3, especially when Jalen Ramsey comes back. But a lot to take in there. But the big thing just to focus on with the Jets before we switch to the next division, as they are the big elephant in the room. Do you feel that this coaching staff and the offensive line, the 2 big weaknesses for the Jets, are they going to adjust to the level that Rodgers needs them to advance?
I think so. I mean, I haven't really watched like Hard Knocks Philly. I've only seen clips, but I found one of the funniest clips is when like Saleh openly just ripped the entire offensive line in front of everyone. During a preseason, I think it kind of showed people that he is serious. I know some people think he's a nice guy, but it shows that he's serious about winning and the team this year. I definitely think the offensive line is a question mark, but if they settle in get a few weeks in. They really just have to keep Rodgers upright. We know Rodgers can have a quick release when he needs to. So I think they'll figure it out and make adjustments where needed to make it work. The coaching staff, I think, to me, bringing in Hackett helped. I know he was a disaster in Denver. We all know that. But I think just bringing someone in who's dealt with Rodgers, who's had success with Rodgers, who knows how to kind of, get to him on a personal level, I think definitely helps. I think they didn't. I think they might have been a little bit over their heads and trying to figure out how to deal with him at times. Because to me, and I know it's recent bias, but like I'm a wrestling fan, but like CM Punk situation, right? Like you could have had this situation if you didn't put the right people in place where Aaron Rodgers could run loose and run rampant, and then it has to get shut down. So I think bringing in Nathaniel Hackett helps. And like you said, Matt, earlier, Rodgers is definitely, motivated. He wants to be there. He wants to prove everyone wrong. I think he wants to go kind of on the Tom Brady route, right, where everyone's like, "Oh, you're leaving Bill, and you're never going to succeed. Wins the Super Bowl." I think he kind of wants that kind of trajectory. "Oh, you're leaving Green Bay, where you had success." So, I think there's definitely obviously question marks. There's question marks with every team, but I think with this Jets team, they have enough weapons where they could, quickly pass it around. They don't have to hold the ball for 5 seconds and make it work. And like you said, with having Nathaniel Hackett there, give Rodgers some familiarity with an offense that he's had success with, I think, kind of everything will work out.
I think everything will work out, but I do have more a burden of questions on Rodgers versus the Jets. I think that he needs to equally rise to the occasion that the organization, the team is building as well, because, they're building this entire roster, centric around Aaron, and he needs to be able to, fit and make things happen as well. I don't necessarily agree that he is the most motivated. I think a lot of what he says in press conferences is a lot of talk and a lot of song and dance. I think that his real motivation from the beginning was getting out of Green Bay, not necessarily landing with the Jets. And furthermore, I don't know how much of it is really winning versus putting on a show. And that's always been my question with him. And it still remains to be seen what he can actually produce, especially in a tough division where, let's be real. The NFC North is now a deserted division. There's no one really. It would be clear and far away Detroit's division. But even with that, I only see them as like a 10-win team. So that's all a long story to say that I have equally, or if not more, questions about Aaron, what he can bring to the table for just this coming season, as I do with the Jets and their roster.
All right, excellent stuff, guys. Why don't we go switch off to the NFC East? We have the New York Giants after a special season. Maybe some people felt that they stole games. Maybe they were a big fluke, but they have another year to prove themselves. We have the Dallas Cowboys in a year where Dak is back, but for how long? Especially the signing of Trey Lance. Can their defense take them to far places again? And their offense? Philadelphia Eagles, are they as good as they intend to be, especially with the two coordinators leaving to take head coaching jobs? And then the Washington, for now, Commanders, they have new ownership. They have another year of Ron Rivera, but he may be on the hot seat. Sam Howell gets to start. Very interesting stuff there, but maybe they can even be a sneaky team. So why don't we just first hit on the Giants? And Alex, I'll start with you on this. Are the Giants going to prove that they are a legitimate team in the NFL this year and in the NFC?
I believe so. I'm going into the season with confidence. I'll be at the game on Sunday, so I'm looking forward to that.
Nice.
I don't know how many consecutive openers it's been for me. I've been to almost a lot. Benefits having season tickets, so my dad takes me usually to the open. But I'm definitely confident going this year. Do I think they're a 10-plus win team? I don't know. But I really like the moves they made this offseason. Obviously, I know paying, Daniel the money we've talked about at length, is it going to be a good deal? We have to wait and see. But I think another year in the system, Daniel could finally have some comfortability. The coordinator stayed, which was nice. There's, times where we thought we might lose them this offseason for what they've done. But I think Wink getting more weapons on defense. I mean, getting Isaiah Simmons, a former top 10 pick for a 7th-round pick, a guy's uber athletic. Yeah, it might have not worked in Arizona, but I think Wink can make use of the guy who's uber athletic. And, I think the moves they made, like I said, the offseason, the draft, everything there, I'm excited for this team. I think they can make another playoff berth. I think this is going to be another tough division, for sure. I think it's still the Eagles to lose. But I think the Giants can make some noise. Like I said, I'm confident. I'm really excited to see Daniel Jones and Darren Waller in a full game instead of seeing them for 3 minutes in a preseason game. And going back to that, there's a lot of Giants fans out there that were like talking about the new Giants are the greatest show on turf after like 2 series in the preseason. Everyone needs to pump the brakes. It's preseason. But I'm excited. I think there's a lot of momentum with this team. I think they're in a right spot. They're making all the right signings, making all the right moves. I think the next thing is to get Saquon, a deal. But again, he has to prove it and hopefully stay healthy this year. I hope he gets the contract. We don't know the way the running back market's been this offseason, but like I said, I'm optimistic for the first time for the Giants in a long time. Last year has been rough. Last year was, a positive. Let's build on that. Not saying this team has to exceed expectations and, like I said, win 10+ games, but fight for important games. That's all we want as Giants fans. Be in December, fight for important games, and then try to make it to the postseason in a tough division.
Oh, yeah. I really think the Giants are very underestimated by a lot of people. And Vegas's over-under is a 6.5. This team is upgraded their weapons. Definitely. As you mentioned, Darren Waller, as long as he's healthy, should be a top 3 tight end in this entire league. Obviously, Isaiah Hodgins is the one person on this team that looks like he's going to stay. And we have Darius Slater too. But you had Paris Campbell, who I think still has a lot to prove. You have Jalen Hyatt, who
I loved him.
I loved him. Looking great from Tennessee. He, I think, really can compete for an offensive rookie of the year. And allegedly, he's hanging out with Ice Spice doing whatever. That came out of his Instagram story. But besides that, you have Saquon with a very important prove-it year. And Daniel Jones, who I think is finally comfortable in his element, has a long-term deal. I really think he's going to finally prove what he has left besides his legs, and especially preventing his turnover issues. And you have Andrew Thomas, a top pass protector. I think Evan Neal is going to step up. And then on the defensive side, nothing else I have to say besides what Alex said about Wink Martindale and having a lot of new weapons and old guys coming back with Kayvon Thibodeau and then Leonard Williams and then Dexter Lawrence. And let's see if they can make the push. But I really think they're underestimated. And I expect them to be back in the playoffs this year.
I expect them to be a more balanced team than in recent years past. I think that, like you guys said, I think that this roster is immensely underrated, and I think that they're sadly a byproduct of a really tough division with a lot of improvements, but also kind of fall victim to some of the schedule. I think this is a really tough schedule.
Yes.
I see them more regressing towards the mean, towards the middle. I see them more as I see them more as like a 10-win team, or a 9-win team. And I think it's not necessarily because they're not improving and moving in the right direction, but I always have this kind of rule of thumb of not trusting quarterbacks the year after they get paid, not the second or third year, but the immediate year after they get paid. I think that things start to change, the temperature in the room starts to change. And I think that it kind of has a divisive nature with camaraderie. Some of it rightful and some of it unjust. And we'll talk a little bit about that, especially with the Lamar Jackson situation in the future segments. But I just have a weird I have a weird omen about quarterbacks the year after they get paid, and I think that this may be another similar situation. So I'm not wishing ill will. I don't have any dog in this division in terms of a fight, but I do see them kind of closer to a 500 team and possibly fighting for that last 7th spot.
Got to be Dallas coming into it. I don't think Dallas is as legit people say they are. I think, just having Tony Pollard as the number 1 guy, I don't know if he's going to be explosive without the committee having Zeke in there. I'm not a believer in Dak Prescott. I just don't think he has what it takes to take a team deep. I know he won a playoff game last year, but I just don't see it. And with people who seem to already have a strike against Mike McCarthy, that's only going to collapse even more. Dallas, what about Dallas that people for some reason are really high on?
I could not disagree more. And I hate saying that because I really hate Dallas, but I think that a lot of clarity on the offensive side of the ball has kind of come their way this offseason. They got rid of Kellen Moore, so they're not playing this nepotism game of self-serving and fulfilling their homegrown guys because he was kind of force-fed to run this offense. Mike McCarthy has full control of the playbook now. There's no more excuses, in particular with orchestrating this offense. I think the big elephant in the room last year was mixing and matching Pollard with Zeke's touches and not getting enough touches to Zeke to justify his money. I think that part of the equation is out the door now, and you don't have to worry about those balance of touches and how you're working or overworking Zeke in the context of the offense. And then Dak is only left to do what is required of him to do. He doesn't need to throw 60 times a game. It's not being thrust upon his shoulders, but I think that there's more continuity and fluidity with this offense. And it's just a matter of maintaining and keeping and preserving that offensive line and keeping it healthy. But I think that there's more rhythm, clarity, and focus with this offense like there hasn't been in years past. And I think that's the reason that they're going to take that eventual next step.
Yeah, I'm kind of like 50-50 on Dallas, and I'm not trying to be like Giants fan biased or anything. It's just I think they could be successful. Obviously, they have the talent. But to me, I think the question is on Dak. I mean, he had a really weird year last year. I know he was on-off injured and he had his interception issues and stuff. I think it does. The pressure is on him. I mean, not saying that the Trey Lance trade made any added pressure on him. I think they're getting him there to just develop and be under Dak and have a good leader. And then, if Dak gets hurt, because he always gets hurt, maybe Trey Lance builds his confidence up enough to be the backup and, deliver some wins, whatever the case might be. But, I think all eyes are on Dak. I feel like the media is talking nothing else about the Cowboys other than how Dak's going to be this year. So, to me, I think it's looking at this team. I know, if you look at the college football landscape, people say you don't learn much from week 1. You can here and there. I think with the Cowboys, the first 2 weeks of the season, I think are going to be telling on what this team's going to be. I like that McCarthy's calling the offense. I think it's going to make things interesting. And I think Pollard's going to be really solid as the number 1 guy. I thought, like Alex was saying, that Zeke was kind of getting touches because they're trying to justify his contract here and there. And he was just like eating up Pollard's touchdowns and stuff like that. He was just a glorified goal line, like old Jerome Bettis type. So I don't know. And I think the defense has the talent there. So it's going to be an interesting year. I'm not a full-on believer like a lot of people are on this Cowboys team. They're one of the teams I think can go on a run. But again, we have to see what happens with Dak in big moments because lately he hasn't really performed up when it's mattered most and lights have been on him. And that's why, to me, I'm iffy on the Cowboys because I really need to see how Dak looks to start the year. Because if he's forcing the ball like he was late last year and having really bad turnovers, this season's going to be a disaster for Dallas quick.
But I think that's all the more reason that I think he's going to have a bounce back because he's not being convoluted and pulled in 4 directions when it comes to orchestrating this offense. I think that there's no more excuses now on the sidelines between Mike McCarthy and his personnel. And, we always kind of make the joke that whoever Jerry, picks and selects as the lead guy, the head coach, he's still, ultimately a puppet at the end of the day of Jerry and that family. But I think in reality, at least if you can let him conduct the offense it's going to make the team look a lot more sexy on paper. But I still think that they're second in this division of Philly. I think it's still Philly's to lose.
Look at that. And for the reigning NFC champion Philadelphia Eagles, how are they going to do during their year after the Super Bowl? Are the Eagles going to be good despite, again, losing their offensive defensive coordinator to head coaching jobs in the NFL? And it seems like allowing the national champion Georgia Bulldogs come join their squad. How do we see the Eagles doing this year?
I hate that the Eagles are taking all my favorite Georgia Bulldogs because I'm a Bulldogs fan. It drives me insane because I want the Giants to take all these guys. But the Eagles just are making a powerhouse with all the great Georgia guys. I think the Eagles are going to be just fine. I think the coordinators, it's going to cause a little bit here and there, but I think there's just too much talent, especially on the offensive side of the ball. Them adding DeAndre Swift, if he can stay healthy, we know what a type of running back he can be. For a time, he was a top 10 running back. Obviously he was hurt a lot last year, and then he kind of lost his role to Jamal Williams there for a little while, and Detroit kind of ran with him. So I think just knowing how the Eagles work, I think they're going to make Swift a great running back again. And like I said, it matters if he stays healthy, but he's a good catcher out of the backfield. He's shifty. It just adds a whole other dynamic to this already potent Eagles offense. Defensively, I guess you kind of have question marks here and there with some of the parts that they had. But again, all the Georgia depth that they have on that team and what I'm hearing about Jordan Davis and all that stuff in preseason and in camp, it's like this guy is going to be on a mission this year, and he's going to wreak havoc. So I think the Eagles are going to be just okay. I think they're going to win this division. Not saying just okay, being just fine. They're going to be fine. They're going to win 10+ games. Hurts is going to be in the MVP conversation probably again. Do I see them going to Super Bowl? Don't know yet. Again, we have to see with, like you said, with the coordinator change and see how they make their adjustments early on in the year. But I think the Eagles, can easily win the NFC again and make another trip to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I really have very little more to add to that. I think that they're going to pick up where they left off. I don't think they've necessarily figured out what Sirianni wants to run with this offense this year. And I think they may lose an extra couple games just by product of the schedule, but they'll be right back there in the NFC Championship as far as I can see.
All right, let's talk about the AFC West. We have the Chiefs being the Chiefs, who seem to do no wrong. They are reigning Super Bowl champions, trying to get another one and officially say the word dynasty with them. We have the Denver Broncos adding Sean Payton to the mix after an embarrassing season last year. Can Russell Wilson get just respect again? We have the Vegas Raiders, who seem to be an enigma. Their stadium is hosting the Super Bowl this year. And can Jimmy G say what's up? And the Los Angeles Chargers, Justin Herbert. Can we see Justin Herbert making another step up? Can Brandon Staley make the entire season? And what are they going to do and try to make it back to the playoffs? So the AFC West guys with the Chiefs, do you see the Chiefs repeating as Super Bowl champions this year? Just plain and simple. Do you think they have a good shot making a deep, deep run?
Oh, the open.
I think the Chiefs are definitely the best team in the AFC. I think the Chiefs are definitely going to probably win the AFC. And whoever that opponent is, I don't know, but it seems that a year where things were really unpredictable with their offense, but in a good way, it seems one man leaves and another one steps up because you have the best player in the whole league there. Even on the running game, Isaiah Pacheco, Jerick McKinnon are back and they could run in. I understand Travis Kelce's questionable going into week 1, but it doesn't seem to be that concerning, especially the fact that his ligaments are in. He probably just had a, twist the wrong way, but I think Kelce's going to be fine. I understand Chris Jones not being a part of the defense and still holding out might be a concern, but I really think Andy Reid and Spagnuolo knows how to replace him right in there. But I think the Chiefs really have a chance to be dominant once again this year. And again, I will say probably, not saying definitely. I'll give the Super Bowl predictions then, but I really think the Chiefs are just going to have another year of dominance.
Yeah, I don't want to bury the lead and give our predictions right out the gate. I'd like to review the division in totality, but I think the Chiefs, they'll probably win this division again. I have them at 13 wins. The only question I have in terms of a competitive nature of this division is the Broncos, because I see so much up in the air still with the relationship between Peyton and Russell and how they can kind of rectify that situation there on that side of the ball. But they're the most stacked defense on paper in that division is the Broncos. So I see kind of neck and neck towards the top, of the division. Chargers are just a land of false promises. I don't see. I have them at 11-6 just because by virtue of a lot of the schedule. And I think that Herbert is going to shine once again as long as they can avoid shooting themselves in the foot. And my team is a dumpster fire. I think Garoppolo is going to be hurt after week 4. Not wishing it. I just expect it. And this division is like a set of dirty panties trying to avoid diarrhea falling down your pants. So they can't stop it. They can't stop an offense to save their life. And I don't expect it to be any different this year.
Yeah, I think it's the Chiefs division again. Do I think they'll make it another trip to the Super Bowl? I don't know. I think there's some question marks here, especially for me, just looking at the wide receivers. Usually they have at least a veteran name or someone we all know. It seems like they kind of are going with the unknowns this year. Other than obviously the Travis Kelce's and things like that. They have, some young guys that I guess they want to run out and see. But again, you have Patrick Mahomes. He's arguably the best, quarterback in football. So I think they still win the division, but I really am interested, like this with the Jones thing, with him holding out. If you look at the stats when he's like in the lineup compared to when he's out, it's like crazy how dominant he really is. And I think a lot of people are underestimating that big of a loss. I think they're going to be like, oh, you have the offense, but when your defensive leader's not there, I can't remember. There was a status on ESPN. It's like something crazy. The amount of points they give up or something like yards when he's off the field compared to when he's on. So they really need to figure that out and get him back. If they get him back, then like I said, I think they make another run. But I think a lot of people are underestimating them. With Chris Jones holding out. Then looking at the rest of the division, I think the Broncos, if Russell can figure it out, can make it challenging for Kansas City. But I don't see anyone slowing them down. And then I hate always trashing on the Raiders, but I don't have any faith in them. Jimmy G is always hurt. So it's probably going to be promising for the first 6. I always say, Alex. I always say this, Alex. Alex roots for like the until week 8, right? He's a diehard Raider fan, and then the rest of the season he just rips them endlessly. Just so I'm expecting that again because I just find it amazing after week 8 how much Alex changes. He goes from like the funny, nice guy to just being serious and just ripping everything to shreds that are the Las Vegas Raiders. I like the Chargers, but again, I don't have a lot of confidence in them other than Justin Herbert. Their offense is good. Their defense could be good. They probably will win 10-plus games, but do I see them as any serious threat to Kansas City or the AFC? Not yet. I think they still are a few pieces away to be a Super Bowl contending team.
I have a lot of questions about Eckler, too, and his health.
Yes.
His commitment, because we've had this discussion in years past about the running backs and their amount of touches with their pay. I think that they're gonna keep slow rolling that contract negotiation, and they're not gonna put him in harm's way, and it's gonna hurt the offense. I will say that with the Chiefs, I think the biggest question, like you said, Alex, is the Chris Jones situation. He's very underrated in terms of overall net impact on that side of the ball. And I think that it's going to be a really big issue. I think that the key to these dynasties is not falling in love with one side of the ball and having balance. And you really need to rectify that situation if you're the Chiefs. I think that without getting too far ahead, I don't have them coming out of the AFC nor winning the Super Bowl. And I think a lot of it is attributed to them kind of losing sight of the most important thing. So having too much icing versus too little cake and things of that nature. And I think that it's going to come back to bite them. In certain weeks of the season, you'll see a little bit of it, but you'll definitely see it in the AFC Championship.
Do you think Russell Wilson will have a good year and get respect again? I don't think so. I think we're on the decline, and I think Sean Payton will try to find a reason to bench him. Sorry, let me explain. I think if things go haywire again, Russell Wilson cares more about his brand, and if Russell Wilson underperforms again, you have a very deep quarterback draft class coming this year, and Sean Payton can find a new person to develop, and he could be his true next Drew Brees.
Yeah, I think Russ is on an insanely tight leash this year, especially when we saw last year, especially when Payton came in and was like, yeah, your personal guru, coach, whoever these side coaching guys you have, they're gone. You were reporting to me, you're reporting to the other coaches, you're not having your side guys. I'm not talking to your manager to go talk to you like the Seahawks done for some weird reason for his whole tenure. I could see Payton being a no-nonsense guy, and I hope that Russell wakes up. I was always a fan of Russell, but last few years, I don't know, I feel like he's gotten too arrogant for his own good. He's gotten his money. Some caller on Sirius XM was saying you call him like the Russell Hustle now or something because he's just like hustling the Broncos out of money, which I thought was pretty funny as well. But yeah, do I see Wilson have a bounce back? Sure, anything's possible with him. But I think Payton will have, all the control of the world if it's not working out to either be aggressive and make a move at the deadline or wait and, like you said, Matt, wait for one of these college guys to fall into their lap, or be aggressive at the draft and move up and secure the guy they want to lead the Broncos in the future.
Yep, I definitely feel Russ is on the decline. Hey, Ranelio, you feel the same?
I'm going to speak out of both sides of my mouth. I think he is a little bit just by nature of the trajectory of his career. And I think this league is all about systems. And I think that Payton brings the right system and the right stability to the Broncos organization in 2023. And I think that it can go one of two ways. It can either, Russell can roll with it and he can embrace it and kind of be humbled, in Payton's system, or it could go awry and they could be looking for a new quarterback next year. So I think the former is more likely than the latter. I think that they're going to have a pretty good season and have a bounce back somewhere around 10 wins. But to your point, Matt, I think that Russell has been on a slow decline ever since kind of that Seahawks Super Bowl second run where they lost. I think that you started seeing a few cracks in the armor when they put all their eggs in that basket with him. He was asked to do more. And I think that if he's going to rectify his image, it's going to be because he adopts Payton's system and what he wants to do.
Hear that. You have any words about the Raiders? This is your time.
No, less is more. Let's move on.
Fair enough.
And it begins.
Hey, we all have to say, what's up with Chandler Jones, though? Is he beefing with Max Crosby? He doesn't like his head coach and his GM.
That's just two cats playing, two cats fighting. I think they'll be fine. My question, my real question, my spoiler alert is when Jimmy G goes down in week 4, is Brady going to be at the back of that tunnel? Does anybody know what's going on there?
That's a Disney movie over there. The owner coming in to take in.
I don't know.
He did say that he will come back, to play football because he didn't land the Manning third guy in
the Manning cast
video that came today, which is amazing. If you guys haven't seen it, go watch it. It's a pretty funny video.
Yeah, I did see it this morning. It's very good, very good. So why don't we go to the NFC West? And let's break it down. Arizona, they suck. LA Rams.
They might not win a game this year. They might not.
I mean, did you see Jonathan Gannon, how stupid he looked? So what was he? What was the quote he said? Burned from the stomach or something? I don't know. That's all we have to say. There is a good chance they might go 0-17. And Kyler Murray will get paid to sit, and they'll get Caleb Williams. LA Rams, they're gonna be a joke, but I mean, respectful coach, I guess. Aaron Donald will have to be there another year, and Matt Stafford, I guess, will ride it out. But that's too bad. But they went all in, got their Super Bowl, and what's next, right? And then the real two teams that worth talking about are the San Francisco 49ers and the Seattle Seahawks. The 49ers, despite these contract issues with Nick Bosa, I think cooler heads will prevail. They will pay a top 2 defensive player in the league. And stacked defense. Brock Purdy's in for another year. They have healthy quarterbacks for now. They should be all set. Christian McCaffrey's back. Debo, Ayuk, everybody's healthy. And as long as they're healthy, the 49ers are a top team in this conference. And Seattle, who I think they're a very interesting team to watch. I think Geno Smith might actually have another good year. And apparently he's lighter on his feet, can keep the arm up, still has some solid weapons amongst that team. And, just figuring out what they're going to do with the running game, the Seattle Seahawks might be a team to watch out for.
Yeah. I think the 49ers are going to win this division. Pretty straightforward. They're probably going to make a run to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
But I am interested to see what Seattle does. I think they can make a way into the playoffs. Geno Smith had a great year last year, obviously. If he can continue that, I like what Seattle did in the draft with their first round pick. They got another wide receiver to already go with 2 dynamic weapons. Just adding more. I think this is running back health really for Seattle. They've had that issue where they've tried to find, young guys, and they've gotten hurt at, bad times, and they've had to, kind of had a rotation wheel. If the running backs stay healthy, they have some dynamic guys there. They can have really good offense. Obviously, the defense is a question mark at times, but they can easily finish second in this. I think they could fight for a wild card spot. I wouldn't be surprised. The other 2 teams in the division, we already know Cardinals. We don't have to talk about them. They're gonna be horrendous. LA could surprise some people, but again, I think they're just so old and banged up, and we have to see what happens with Cooper Kupp. I hope he's healthy for my fantasy purposes, obviously, but it's never good to see the best. Such a dynamic guy having to get second opinions on hamstring and stuff. We want to see Cooper, on the field. Obviously, he's so fun to watch. But they could surprise the people, maybe have one last hurrah with some motivation. But again, they're all aging and they're older, and it's the cost of what happened. You go all in, you can't really spend the money down the line. You have to wait a few years and recuperate in the draft, and then clear some salary cap, and then you can do it again. But like I said, I think it's 49ers are going to win this, but I think Seattle can easily fight for a wild card. If not, secure a playoff spot, and the other 2 teams are going to be fighting for potentially top 5 picks. Well, Arizona, obviously. Rams they might surprise us, but if not, they'll probably be in the top 10 as well.
So I similarly agree about the shakeout of this division, the NFC West. I think clearly the 49ers are far and away. They'll be set, all things considered, knock on wood with their health. They're loaded top to bottom, both sides of the ball, all 3 phases of the game. I actually have the Seahawks and Rams in reverse. I'm a little higher on the Rams than you guys than the Seahawks, and I think it's because it's this year. I think it's going to be kind of more like a referendum on McVay's ability to coach, and I think that it's going to be more telling about his ability to bounce back and maximize more out of less. I think that when you look at this roster, it's enough to prevail, winning games out of division. I think that they could win 10, 11 games, I think, as a high watermark. I really do believe that. And I think that Seahawks, now that we have a little more tape on Geno, I just don't have as much confidence in Pete Carroll to be able to rally that team. I think last year was more an exception than the rule of what they can do in the absence of Russell Wilson. I think more of last year's season was determined by their ability to prove what they can do moving on from a big star like that and kind of being next man up mentality. I think that they do have a lot of budding young talent, but I haven't been able to see a consistency in the run game, the ability to have a balanced offense and control the clock. I think they have a lot of questions there. I think that the defense is pretty rock solid, but the Rams, I think, is going to be more determined by the coaching staff of McVay and what he can do to bounce back and produce more with less.
Produce more with less. Excellent stuff there. I think that pretty gets the gist here regarding that division, especially the fact with arguably the top team in the NFC East with it. We all really love San Fran, and see that is the team to watch out for throughout the season, especially in playoff time. Can they get back to the Super Bowl? I think that's the big question there with them. So moving on to the AFC. No, sorry. We did the AFC South. Yes. We are moving on to the AFC North. Very interesting division here. We have Baltimore Ravens. They give Lamar the money. Lamar's back. They had Odell Beckham. They had Zay Flowers, who could be an offensive rookie of the year. Add to their defense. People are excited for Baltimore. The Cincinnati Bengals, Joe Cool on the brink of getting paid, and them trying to get over the hump after falling short in the playoffs. We have the Cleveland Browns that some people may be wanting to see, and especially with Deshaun Watson having a full season. And then Pittsburgh Steelers. That's probably the one team that I've noticed. I want to start talking about the Steelers first, that a lot of people are really high on. People think Kenny Pickett could be a top 10 quarterback. I've seen. They see if George Pickens has a breakout year, the defense coming back to strives, and Mike Tomlin, as long as he's leading the charge, anything is possible. So before we break down all the division about the Steelers themselves, do we see the Steelers being arguably the most surprising team in the whole AFC this year, the way people are talking them up?
You can go with this first one. This one, I'll toss it to you.
So on the topic of the Steelers specifically, I'm not buying into the noise around Pickett. I think that it's very easy to see more exceeding young players' potential when there's no expectations, when it's preseason, when it's camp. I think that a lot of it is just good press kind of manifesting into the ether. I think that I firmly believe I still see them at the bottom of this division. And they have a lot of work to do, rebuilding the offense, the offensive side of the ball. I still have Cincinnati far and away winning this division. I think that it's theirs to lose. I'm the biggest Joe Burrow fan, full disclosure, for this division. I actually see this is going to give me a lot of shit, but I actually have the Browns usurping the Ravens this year.
Really?
And I think it's more of an indictment on the Ravens as a whole with that money and what they gave to Lamar and how they've restructured this roster. I just have a lot less confidence, not necessarily in the front office and Ozzie Newsome, but I really, similar to the Daniel Jones situation with the contract, I just don't trust quarterbacks leading their offense the year after they get their money. There's just something about it. It may be bad juju, but I have and I think reintroducing distractions like Odell Beckham Jr., especially coming off of Super Bowl high 2 years prior, I think that he's going to invite a lot of temptation, a lot of distractions into the locker room, and not necessarily the right the right ingredients to getting back to their winning ways. And I just have a lot more concerns than I have definite solutions and answers with this team, particularly compared to years recent past.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the Browns might usurp them just simply because I see a slow erosion of the Ravens. I think there'll be more of an inflection point by week 11, week 12 during the year where they're going to have to either figure out what they're going to do with this offense and with Lamar, because I've seen not a steady decline, but I've seen kind of a treading water and this plateau, this malaise of his production and his improvement as a quarterback, as a throwing quarterback. I haven't seen that steady production and that improvement, and I think it's going to catch up with them this year. So it's all a long ways of saying that I think that the Bengals are clearly the best team in this division, and I have them actually win the AFC Championship.
You have the Steelers winning the AFC Championship. All right, we'll get into the. Sorry,
the Bengals.
the Bengals. Sorry, the Bengals. You have the. Okay, we'll get into that when we do our predictions. Interesting,
Okay.
but it's not a crazy pick. But very interesting. So, Alex Young.
Yeah. To answer the first question, am I buying on the Steelers side? No. Do I think they're going to be a fun team to watch? Yeah. Or an interesting team to watch? Sure. I think that's going to be kind of like my dark horse team. I tune in and see what they're doing here and there. I don't think they're winning the division. I think they're going to make it very tough for the other teams. I think they're going to compete. But again, I agree with Alice. I think it really is seeing the growth of Pickett if it's there. I mean, he has the weapons. He has a lot of talent on offense. That defense is great too. We all know, TJ Watt's probably going to break Strahan's record at some point. Great of year he had last year. So, am I buying on the Hyper Steelers? No. Do I think they're going to be a fun team to watch? Yeah. I think that's why this makes the division so intriguing because all four teams are going to be competing. I don't think there's a weak team in this division. I think the big question mark, obviously, with Cleveland is if Deshaun Watson can return back to his form when he was on the Houston Texans, when he was a top 5 quarterback. If he can, watch out. That team's going to be very dangerous. Baltimore, I think health is a huge deal with them. We see what happens with Lamar. I know they're adding more weapons to try to make it a more pass, flow offense. But again, they have the bread and butter plays, their options, their runs. He's going to do it. Can he stay upright? Can he stay healthy? Because we see what happens when the Ravens don't have him. And I think that's why he kind of forced their hand with the contract because they knew we can't win without this guy. He's that dynamic of an offensive player. I don't have him winning the division. I think it's the Bengals again. Burrow. I know that preseason injury looked nasty. That training camp injury looked nasty. He looked like he's gonna be healthy. Luckily for Bengals fans, because I thought it was like an Achilles tear when I first saw it. So I got nervous. He should be hopefully ready by week 1. He might not be. But all is trending well. If he's healthy that whole year, we know what this Bengals team is, and they have a window now before they have to pay Burrow. Is this his contract year for Burrow? It is, right?
Yep.
Yeah, but I literally just read a report that they should extend him as late as this week, and he will be the highest player of all time, highest paid player of all time.
Which again, I think if you look at it, can hamper this Bengals team going forward but we can discuss that, whenever the contract happens, he's gonna get his money. We all know that.
Yeah,
Again,
I don't mean to interrupt, but but as you said, they need to win now. How are they going to pay a Higgins and a Boyd
exactly.
and keep them all under in a mix, and I'll keep them all under the same.
Chase as well is going to be probably the highest paid wide receiver at some point.
If you're the Bengals, you got to win now. This is your year to win.
This is the year to win, I think. Yeah, that's why it's the motivation, obviously. They know the window. But again, you can make it work. We've seen the Chiefs do it. They're paying Mahomes all this money. But again, how long can the window hold when you're doing stuff like that? I know what, we all heard what Bill Belichick said, I think it was last week, about why he was able to sustain success for 20 years because he wasn't the type of guy to throw money everywhere and hope, it worked. He also got lucky that Brady was very unselfish, right? He took a lot of pay cuts so that the team could still win. They can get the players that they needed. A lot of these quarterbacks just want to get their bag. It's unfortunate. That's how the NFL is. That's what these guys deserve, obviously. But again, when you're paying these guys a lot of money, the window comes up real quick. That's the same thing with like we said, with the Chiefs soon. A couple years down the line when that contract balloons for Mahomes, it's going to be very tough for that team to constantly compete for championships. And that's the same thing can happen to Cincinnati. So I was actually motivated for all these guys. They've been to the Super Bowl. They want to get back there. I have them winning this division. We can talk the Super Bowl predictions in a little bit. I really like them this year. Again, you have Burrow with extra motivation if they don't extend them right away. He has that motivation going into the season where you pay me. The way you show that is holding up the Lombardi at the end of the season. So, I like the Bengals a lot. I think they're going to win this division. But I think same as the AFC East, I think every week this is one of the divisions to watch because there's just going to be so many storylines and so many awesome moments. And, every game is really going to matter, especially in this division when all four teams have a shot of winning the division, honestly.
Definitely. Let's go to the NFC North now. As you guys mentioned, a very interesting division to watch. Chicago Bears, they picked first. They they were the worst team in the NFL last year. Now they're back. And are they better than ever? We will ultimately see. They traded the first round pick, but they got a lot of interesting weapons on offense now. And is Justin Fields going to prove more than just being a dual threat quarterback? The Carolina Panthers, Bryce Young is going to start. Will they start a brand new era also with their brand new head coach in Frank Reich? New Orleans Saints, they're very interesting. We have Derek Carr starting for them this year. We'll see what they could do. And then the Tampa Bay Buccaneers with Baker Mayfield. What are they going to do? Oh wait, sorry. Well, I'm looking at the
NFC
sorry,
South.
my bad on that. So let's restart that. For the North, I definitely need glasses, but we'll worry about that later. But again, for the North, as I mentioned, the Bears, what could they do coming back? The Detroit Lions are coming in, and a lot of people think that this might be the year that they finally win the division in, I don't know, 100 years. No, it's been a very long time. Exactly when. They haven't won the division since 1993. So will they come back since Barry Sanders was running out for them? And then we have Green Bay Packers. Maybe Matt LaFleur can prove that Jordan Love can be just as effective as Aaron Rodgers. And then the Minnesota Vikings. Can Kirk Cousins finally win a Super Bowl? We saw him an NFL quarterback. We want him to win so damn bad. He's so freaking nice. But is that good enough to go all the way again? NFC North, guys, most interesting division. Tell me your thoughts about it.
I think it's the worst division in football, actually.
Really?
Yeah, I just think on
Not the NFC South.
No, I think it's equally or worse than the NFC South. I think it could be like a competition of the turds. But I think that there's just a lot of regression across the division. I think a lot of changes. For the worse with the Packers in particular. I think the Bears and Vikings will make. I think the Vikings will regress a little bit as well. It would be closer to like an 8-9 or a 9-8. I think when you look at the way that a lot of those games were determined last year, they won a lot of very tight one-score games. 3 points or less, 2 points or less. And I think that the Bears will make small incremental improvements with that roster. Again, it's going to be organizational structure. How are they going to be able to fit the needs for Justin Fields and surround him with successful winning roster, winning pieces? I think this is the Lions' division to lose. I think that this is their year to kind of break out of the shell of themselves they were the past 10 years or so. And again, like Matt said, it's been 30 years since they won the division, but you can start to see how they're playing so hard right to fight to the end with Dan Campbell in this division. I think that having Aaron exiting the division, there's no more proverbial boogeyman to kind of be around the corner for each one of these teams, and I think that the Lions will benefit the most from that.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, this is an interesting division. Again, is it the most entertaining? No, not at all. But I don't know. I really like the Bears this year. I don't know what. I think them giving up their first round pick and getting a guy like DJ Moore, and getting some pieces that's all season for Justin Fields, I think it's going to work for them. Is there some question marks on their defense? I think so, but they added some pieces here and there and see what sticks and see what works. I really like them this year. I just think Justin Fields needs to take that next step forward. We saw what he could do with the second half of the year when the coordinators and the coach were finally like, yeah, do your thing. He was like, okay. And everyone was like, where the hell was this whole time? So, I think the Bears are going to honestly win this division. Shockingly, in my eyes, I think they can. I like the Lions a lot. Don't get me wrong. But it's Detroit. I don't know if I can ever trust Detroit. Do I want them to be successful? Absolutely. But
Chicago.
But I don't know. I just don't see them winning the division. I just don't. I feel like they're gonna find some way to lose. Like they always find a way to like
Be the
do it.
Lions.
Like if they could be like, yeah, like just be like. That's why it's like I don't know. Like I like Chicago a lot, but it's like Detroit's like, yeah, I like them too, and I think they have promise. But at the same time, I'm like, you're gonna find a way to lose in some spectacular fashion because it's Detroit.
Hey, I just want it on the record now, just for it to clip. What if the Lions beat the Chiefs to start the season in week 1 on Thursday night?
Oh, I think everyone would lose their mind.
I mean,
Everyone would lose their mind.
It could happen. I mean, they could be coming out of the gates with piss and vinegar, and the Chiefs could just take the opening weekend, being drunk from the Super Bowl, theoretically. Like it does happen.
Super Bowl hangover.
Yeah, it does.
Anyone want to make a proclamation? If the Detroit Lions beat the Kansas City Chiefs, then this will happen.
I don't know. I might have to flee the country. I think the apocalypse is about to start. I don't know. I'm not nervous.
All right. So Alex is risking his Young's risking his citizenship. All right. What about Renelli?
I'll be an expat for different reasons, but I want to challenge Alex's take on Chicago winning the division. I'll take Detroit here and now if you take Chicago.
Okay. Yeah. Sold.
Oh,
there we
the
go.
Bears. Interesting.
I'll take Chicago to win the division.
Okay.
All right. If the Detroit Lions beat the Kansas City Chiefs, then whoever follows the Productive Conversation Instagram will get $5 sent to them. And you have to clip and show that you heard this clip. So we'll put that out there.
I like that.
If the Detroit Lions win, clip this, send it to me, DM at Productive Conversations Podcast. You will get $5. But I actually don't. I really don't think that's going to happen. But we'll see.
Who knows? And just real quick, just to wrap up the NFC North. For me, I think the Vikings are really going to take a big step back and surprise a lot of people. I don't have any faith in them. I think last year was a big fluke. They got a lot of like close call wins. Good on them.
Yeah.
You win when it matters. Cool, awesome. But can you repeat that 2 years from now? I don't think so. Obviously, I love Justin Jefferson. He's, to me, I think right now the best receiver in football. I love Cooper Kupp as well, but I think Justin Jefferson's just a little bit better than him. Is he going to be awesome to watch? Yeah. Is Kirk Cousins going to be fun at times? Sure. And Hockenson and all of them. Like, they're going to surprise people with some wins, but I don't think they're going to win the division. I think they're going to be a competitive team, but I think they're going to take them a couple wins, step back than they had last year. And then the Packers, I'm excited to see the Jordan Love era. It's going to be interesting to see. It's going to be weird to see not Aaron Rodgers in the Green Bay Packer uniform, but we've been waiting a few years. Like, we had to wait a few years for Rodgers when he was sitting for Favre. So I'm excited to see what the Jordan Love era looks like in Green Bay to start the year.
Hear that? Do we feel bad for Kirk Cousins if he's not going to win? Do you think
No.
Kirk Cousins will win a Super Bowl? But he's so nice.
No.
Oh, man.
He doesn't inspire me to get off the fucking couch. He may be a sweet guy. He could go be a floral arrangement guy. I don't care.
Maybe he wins one as like holding the paper, being holding the clipboard for the guy,
By the way, you guys did see a quarterback on Netflix, yes or no? Did you guys watch it?
Not yet, but I heard good things.
Oh, no? Oh, well, he's portrayed as a saint in that. Like, he does everything possible to make sure he wins. Goes to chiropractors, go to neurologists, go to freezing cold pools, and he's just so friendly and telling people God bless and giving prayers. And he is so I'm saying this because of my reaction to that show. You just want him to win a Super Bowl somehow, but you can only have one quarterback playing at a time. And
you look at the results of those games. I mean, I kind of stepped into the role of being the Vikings defender last year because I saw enough from my eyes that they were able to win these close games, being more of being a product of clutch gamesmanship from a coaching perspective and just executing at the right time. But I don't think you can produce that 2 years in a row. And I think maybe 3-4 of those close game wins last year, unfortunately, may just devolve into losses this year, which would kind of bring him closer to a 500 team. And that's what I think they are.
Definitely. Now let's actually go to the NFC South. And as I mentioned, Carolina has the number 1 pick in Bryce Young. See what he can do. New Orleans with Carr, Tampa with Baker, and Atlanta looks like it is for a fact going to be Desmond Ritter going to take the job to start, or Taylor Heineke.
Or
The quarterback one for Atlanta.
Ritter should be starting.
It's going to be Ritter. Okay.
Yep.
And what do you guys think about that? I think first, Atlanta really has the potential to be a very good offense this year. They have some players, Bijan Robinson getting paid off the bat, and see if he can repeat the success he did in Texas since the NFL. I really think Atlanta is a team to watch out for. Then we have, again, I think the division is going to go ultimately to Atlanta. I really think that they're going to be really sick. And we'll see what they can produce on defense, especially they have very good defensive backs. But I think watch out for Atlanta. But Carolina might be able to sneak up on people too. I think New Orleans is excuse me. I think New Orleans with Derek Carr is going to underachieve. I see them being a big bust. I just see Derek Carr really failing out there. I really think that. And then Tampa, though, we can appreciate the effort put upon there, but it seems that they're on the come down. And Mike Evans, we'll see if Mike Evans gets traded. We'll see if Baker can keep them alive, but I think they're about to start rebuilding. And again, I'll say it throughout the whole season. Probably, you have a great quarterback class coming in. Bring in a brand new coach, you might start something new in Tampa.
Yeah, I agree with you with Atlanta. I don't know if they're going to win the division, but I really
it's the
like them a
defense
lot.
that would be might hold them back.
I think the defense will hold back. But again, like Desmond did look good late in the season. He finally started getting comfortable. But again, it revolves on him and if he can be, continue to be, promising and successful. But again, he has so many weapons on offense. And now adding Bijan Robinson, who we all know is a stud, it takes even a little bit more pressure off of him. But he has uber athletic guys that I think you can really make a strong offense with. And again, the defense's question, I really like them bringing Jesse Bates in. I think it's going to be really important for them on the backside of that defense as a safety. But I think they're going to be an interesting team to watch for sure. I think they can win the division. I think they're a team that can. I do like New Orleans though. I know you're not liking them, Matt.
Yeah, I'm really concerned about Carr's play that might hold him back.
Yeah,
and Alvin Kamara's not starting right away.
Yeah, I think they're all warranted, right? I mean, we know how dynamic Kamara could be, but I think Carr can lead the charge for them, and I think that division's weak enough. I think it's going to be between Atlanta and New Orleans, and I think it's going to be one of those weird ones. Like, I don't think it's going to be like a clear runaway. I think it's going to be one of the weird, typical like NFC South, like 8-6 get or below 500 gets you in or something bizarre. But I think it's going to be between Atlanta and New Orleans. Tampa's obviously rebuilding. Baker's probably going to last like 6 weeks, and then they're going to go to Trask to see what he can be, and then go from there and get their quarterback. And then Carolina, I think, I think they're going to sneak up on people. I don't think they're going to be an easy team to beat, as some people think. I was like the progression of Bryce throughout the preseason, for sure. I think the Brian Burns holdout is interesting to look at too, similar to Jones. He's not as dynamic as Jones, but he is a hell of a pass rusher, and I think that not having him around can have an impact, especially on a young team that needs a veteran on the defensive line as dynamic and as great as Burns is. So, Carolina hopefully will figure that out and find a way to get him into camp again, whether that's an extension or figuring out some sort of contract agreement. But yeah, I think Carolina is going to be interesting to watch. Again, we'll see what Bryce Young is. He's going to be, must-watch TV early on in the season, seeing how the rookie progresses. But I think it could be a battle between Atlanta and New Orleans. I'm going to have New Orleans on this one, but I think, like Matt, all your things are warranted. I think Atlanta is going to be a really, really fun team to watch, especially with on the offensive side of the ball.
I totally agree with both of you guys. I actually have New Orleans being one of those dark horse teams in the conference. I think that they're really primed with everybody sort of out of the way in this division, with the exception of Atlanta. So really to make a run. I'm very biased when it comes to my analysis of Carr. I've seen a lot of footage on him over the years, but I want to remind people that he has a relationship with Dennis Allen. He started his career with Dennis Allen back in 2014, so they go back a ways. They've been in long contact with one another over the years, and I think that they're going to kind of rekindle a little bit of that on a micro level. And I think that this team has a lot of the right pieces on both sides of the ball. I think it's just a matter of how they can put it together through the course of the season. I do like Atlanta. I think they're going to make a lot of inroads, improving. I think they're going to be somewhere hovering around either above or sub 500. I'm a big fan of Arthur Smith. I love what he was able to build in short order with a lack of a roster last year. I think they're going to continue to improve that. And I think with the Panthers and the Bucks, I just think that they're just giant works in progress. I think they're both kind of rebuilding on different timelines, but kind of in similar and parallel. And it's just going to take time, but they're both going to be kind of sitting around 5-win teams. I'm excited to see how Bryce Young produces and performs and improves through the 4 quarters of the season. And I have the Saints winning this division actually pretty comfortably.
Okay, very good, diverse picks on this division for sure. And the AFC South, gentlemen, the final division to talk about. Houston, DeMarco Ryan comes in. Can CJ Stroud be legit? Indianapolis has a new coach. They're bringing in Shane Steichen. Can he and Anthony Richard start something new, even with the weird PR stuff that's going on with Jonathan Taylor? And Jacksonville, I think that's going to be a team that is going to start a very major run, not only in this division, but this whole league. Trevor Lawrence, I'm going to go crazy. I'm going to be crazy and say Trevor Lawrence makes a push to get MVP votes this year. And you know what? I'm going to say he's going to win the MVP. I'm going to say Trevor Lawrence will win the offensive They will win the offensive player of the year and be the MVP for the AFC. Well, no, NFL MVP, but the AFC offensive player of the year and then the NFL MVP. Go out on a limb for that. And then Tennessee, very interesting team. Now, I've heard people say there might be another team that may be underestimated. See if DeAndre Hopkins and Tannehill can have some type of chemistry. Derrick Henry is getting older. Despite his dominance, we know the running back position and how that is handled, but he seems to be one of the true guys to have that position to himself. But again, we will ultimately see what they do. But interesting team is the Tennessee Titans in this division. But I think this is definitely going to be Jacksonville's to win, and we'll see what you guys think.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's Jacksonville's to win, especially Trevor Lawrence having another year in Doug Peterson's system. That was successful last year, obviously, on their second half run. They added a little bit more firepower. They brought back Evan Ingram. I really like Jacksonville this year. I think it's their division to lose. I think they have pieces on both sides of the ball to make a run, to maybe surprise a team. They're not making it to the Super Bowl, but I think this is an easy enough division, especially with the other 3 teams. I think the Texans are going to be fun to watch just because of CJ Stroud, because of seeing Will Anderson on the defensive side of the ball, 2 young studs. We'll see what they can do. Could they surprise the team with some wins here and there? Yeah, sure. Are they winning division? No. Tennessee is definitely interesting. Obviously, with aging Derrick Henry, with Tannehill, do they go to Will Levis at some point in the season if things aren't working out? And what does that mean for this team? Again, I think it's going to be interesting, but I have no idea.
Sorry.
No, you're good. We'll try to. What was all that celebration there for?
I just hit. Sorry, I didn't mean. I just hit a parlay with with the Rays and the Red Sox. Rays were down by 1 with 3 men on base, and Brandon Lowe hit a 3-run homer to cover the -1.5. So
There you go.
continue though, Alex. I'm sorry. It's
No,
really exciting.
no, you're good. You're good. I was hitting some parlays this weekend in college football. I was doing the same thing. I was like, I don't know. I was down lucky. But yeah, no, I think there's definitely things fun. Colts is gonna be fun. Colton, Texas, obviously the rookie quarterbacks. Titans can be interesting if they go to Will Levis at some point. I think this is Jacksonville's to win. I think they're the best team in this division. I think there's just a lot of question marks with these other three teams. There's interesting players and interesting stories and things that happen, but I think Jacksonville is really the only true playoff team in this division. Like I said, I think there could be a weekend where the Colts sneak up on a team and Richardson balls out. The same with C.J. Stroud and Texans. Titans could do that too. And the Titans have the best shot at competing with Jacksonville because of the veteran experience, things like that. I just don't have enough promise in them this year.
It's always Ryan Tannehill with them. We've been talking for years.
I know we have been talking about him. It just never ending.
He's still here.
He's still beating people out, clearly. But yeah, I think it's Jacksonville, and I think they're probably going to run away with this division.
Yeah, I think the only question really remains with Jacksonville is how high is their ceiling. I see them about 11-win team. I know people want to go higher, 12, 13. I think it's a little premature. But I'm all in on Jacksonville. I love Doug Peterson, dating back to his Philly days. I know you guys have still PTSD from him. I think all the other three teams are just a big work in progress. I wholeheartedly feel that way about Tennessee. I can see Tennessee easily falling to a 5-4 team. And I think at that point, they're going to turn the corner during the season and shift towards Will Levis and look for the future. I think that this DeAndre Hopkins thing is a flash in the pan. I think it's to sell more tickets. I see him actually. I really do. I don't think there's.
No, you're not wrong. I think it's true too.
I don't think they're serious about keeping him more than a year. But if they can't get back to their winning ways by halfway through the year with Tannehill, I think they're going to start tanking and put in Will Levis, and it's going to be sayonara from there. I think all 4 teams in this division could be interesting just because there's so many questions and marks about their timeline and development with these other 3 teams. But it's Jacksonville's to lose without question, and it's just a matter of what their ceiling is in the context of the bigger AFC playoff picture.
All right. So let's make our declarations right here, right now. Let's make our Super Bowl predictions. Tell me your AFC champ, tell me your NFC champ, and tell me who do you think is going to win the Super Bowl out in Las Vegas?
It's so early, and I was way too early. But I'm going to go Bengals, Eagles.
The Bengals and
the Eagles. I think that's my matchup. I don't see Kansas City getting back. I would love to see another rematch, but I think the Eagles have a little bit of a chip on their shoulder, especially knowing that I think like Jalen Hurts has his like phone background of him looking like sad after he lost or something. So I think it's to be Eagles, Bengals. I would have the Eagles over this one. I think they're gonna get their redemption. I'm gonna think they're gonna win the Super Bowl this year.
Bold move. Similarly but different, I have the Bengals outlasting the Chiefs in the AFC Championship. And on the NFC side, I have the 49ers actually out matching the Eagles. I think when it comes to the Super Bowl, I think the Bengals it's their time. Like we alluded to earlier with, in the context of the AFC North, I think this is their year to seal the deal. And it's going to springboard them towards a really hot, competitive next decade or so with the Chiefs. I think that these are kind of the 2, teams moving forward, particularly in the AFC. And this is just the year that the Bengals get retribution and get back at them.
Okay. And we going back to back with the Bengals, but you say Bengals 49ers. So what's that, it's a rematch of the 88 Super Bowl. So interesting stuff. All right, guys. I think it's going to be the Arizona Cardinals and the I'm kidding. All right. I am going to have an out there pick. somewhat. I think the San Francisco 49ers are going to make it back to the Super Bowl once and for all, and they will not have no quarterbacks as an excuse. I think they'll be able to outlast and make it a full season. And if they get past Sam Darnold at that point, I even think if Brock Purdy gets hurt for whatever reason, I really do think Sam Darnold can hold their defense, and he might be able to have a Geno Smith story to show that he can be a legitimate quarterback in the NFL. I really think he can pull it off. For my AFC pick, though, the Chiefs are credible and they're just so unpredictable. But it is hard to repeat even the most dominant teams. And Bengals are very interesting. As we mentioned, this is the window to win, especially for financial constraints. But I'm going to go this on the record. And I think this team, who I, again, was concerned about their coaching status and their offensive line, I think as the season progresses, and I really think with the ultimate moment here for this franchise, and if they cannot win with this quarterback and Aaron Rodgers, they will never win. I really believe, and if you want me to have exclusive content, I really think the New York Jets will go as far as Aaron Rodgers lets them, and as long as everyone's on the same page, as long as people don't get hurt, and as long as you have a team that had both the offensive and defensive rookies of the year able to progress and be on top of their game at their respective positions, you might see the New York Jets make it to the Super Bowl. But I do think San Francisco beats them. And Aaron Rodgers proves that he could get over the hump and back to the Super Bowl, but will fall short in the big game. And San Francisco wins what would be their 6th Super Bowl in franchise history.
He always knows how to come up short in the big games, Aaron. So
I know.
I really thought you were
true.
going to go. I really thought you were going to go Buffalo there, but you took one out of the rabbit out of the hat.
No, but I mean, again, you those are really the only concerns, especially the offensive line. And as the great Joe Beningo said, if we can't win with this guy, we're never gonna win. And that really does show. And Zach Wilson's definitely not the answer. Again, they should just draft one of these quarterbacks that are coming into this big draft class. But I really think the Jets really can make a push as long as everything goes right for them. That's the only thing. And trust me, if we see Aaron Rodgers get hurt this season, if we just see them fall short, then this truly is a cursed franchise. And I used to think, honestly, until the Cubs won the World Series after 8-year absence, that anything is possible. They really proved that even the worst, most cursed people could win. But I don't know. I really think that they can make a strong push with this. So
before we preview the week 1 picks, where do we see Buffalo in this context?
I think Buffalo honestly falls short again. I think they'll make the playoffs, but they'll lose in the divisional round. Whether that's again against the Chiefs, maybe it'd be crazy to see them play the Jets in the divisional round or the Bengals. I really think I'm not as certain about Buffalo as other people. I really don't know. I really don't know if they can repeat and feel like a much more stronger team. They didn't really add any other additional weapons. They don't really facilitate their tight ends. Maybe this would have been a good time for that. And I don't know what's up with the Stephon Diggs and the gossip that's going on with him, if he really wants out or not. I'm not as confident with Buffalo coming into this year. And if you really believe in the Madden curse, Josh Allen is on the cover. We'll ultimately see. It's definitely happening.
I agree with Matt too. It's just like I'm not as high on them as I was last year. I think they could make a run, but compared to last year, I don't know. There's something I feel weird going on with Buffalo right now. I don't know if it's a Shane Dable effect with them leaving or whatever, or this Diggs situation and how that's going to happen. Is going to blow up if he doesn't get 10 targets in a game and he's going to lose his mind, what might happen. I'm definitely not as high. I think they're going to compete. Like I said, I think they're going to win the division. Do I think they're going to make the Super Bowl? I don't think so.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to fall short.
And there's other last thing on the record too, I want to say about just the Giants real quick. I think the Giants are a year away from being a dominant powerhouse franchise again. Alex, I don't know if you feel the same way, but I really think 1 year away.
Yeah, I think depending on how this season goes, I think if they have another strong draft, and I think with a little bit more cap relief and cap help, I know they're like giving big contracts, so it's kind of like, oh, we have salary cap. Oh, we don't have a salary cap. Yes, we have like it's kind of this fluctuating thing. I just like the direction they're going, and I hope they're dominant. I just want them to consistently be in the picture. I think that's the thing that they need to get through first. Like just consistently be there. Like the Coughlin years, we felt every year we could consistently be in the division picture. I think the Giants can get to that. I mean, it's going to be tough, obviously, with the Eagles, with the Cowboys, the Commanders, unless they change the name again, are at some point going to be a decent squad again. It's just a matter of time. Now new ownership, so. But I want them to be back and dominant. But yeah, I think it's going to take another year or two. Again, they have to hit well in the draft, make smart moves. Don't get overzealous, and go from there.
Yeah, with Dayball and Shane, anything is possible.
Agreed.
Okay. Week 1 prediction, guys. Let us start this. Our predictions. I will be keeping track this year, especially. So, how about between the three of us and others, whoever has the best winning percentage has to treat the other two to dinner. We do that. Cool. Figure out a way to get this. Sure. So as the weeks go by, I will mark down who picked what, and we'll make our winning percentage. And whoever's the best winning percentage will be enjoying what's going on. And yeah, so sorry, did I say whoever wins is gonna treat? I'm sorry. Whoever is gonna be in dead last of the three of us will treat.
That works.
All right. So let's see how far we go with this. And we'll simply do a money line style. And let us make our picks, gentlemen. Week 1 predictions start right now. All right, Thursday night, NBC. The NFL season kicks off in front of the nation. We have the Detroit Lions going to the Kansas City Chiefs. The Kansas City Chiefs are opening at -5. Who's winning the first game of the year? I believe the Chiefs are going to win. They're not going to cover. They're going to keep the tradition of not covering. They're only going to win by a field goal. Let's say final score is going to be 20-17.
Yeah, I have the Chiefs winning this one. Again, I hate picking the Chiefs covering any spread because they always somehow make it weird. I'm going to go with you on this one. I think it's going to be a close one. I think it's going to be a fun one, but I think Chiefs are going to win 27-24.
Remember, if they lose, you leave the country.
Yeah, right, yeah.
So a lot is on the line there.
I actually had Chiefs covering and winning pretty comfortably, 28-17.
Okay, cool.
Sorry, I'm going to 28. What did I say? 27, 28-24. Sorry.
So starting off, we have the Texans. We're going to start off our Sunday. The Houston Texans are going to Baltimore. Baltimore is opening at -10. Alex, I know what's your rule. Is it 10 points is the spread that you don't like to go over or under? What was it, a touchdown you said?
Yeah. I hate anything usually more than 10. 10, like 10 or 11 or higher to me. Looking at spreads like that, it makes my head hurt because it's just like unless it's like Arizona where it could be reasonable for them to get their like absolutely destroyed. But yeah. But 10 is usually my number. I'm like, yeah, a little bit.
Oh, my turn?
Yeah.
Sorry, my bad. I actually have Houston with an upset in Baltimore. I think they're gonna. Yeah, I definitely don't think they'll cover, of course, but that's out the window. I have Houston winning in a stunning upset, somewhere around 24-22 on a field goal to close out the game. I think that Baltimore's going to come out a little flat-footed, a lot of off-season noise kind of distracting them and getting themselves assimilated and on the same page. I think they're going to be slow out the gate.
I'm just gonna quickly take Baltimore, but I'm not gonna take them to cover. As you guys know, I usually stay away from 10. I think Baltimore's gonna win, but if you're going to bet, I think the Texans are gonna come out competing this year. So I think they're gonna really have good against the spread numbers this year. So I'm gonna Baltimore to win, but I might take the Texans minus 10 because I think they can cover it.
Yeah, I think the Texans have a long road to relevancy. I think DeMarco Ryan's coaching debut will be a difficult one, and the Ravens are going to come out looking really good. And Zay Flowers will get his first touchdown of the year. So we have the Bengals and Browns. People say Joe Burrow has a hard time against the Browns. He's lost 4 of the last 5 against them. But since he's opening at -2.5, since he is going to Cleveland, what do you say on this one?
Is Joe cleared to play, or he's still questionable right now?
So at this moment, looking at the injury report, Joe Burrow's questionable as of the 4th. So yesterday or Monday.
So I'm going to have a weird one. If Burrow's playing, I'm going to take Cincinnati and the points. If he's out, I think Cleveland is going to win the game. Just because I think Watson has a chip on his shoulder to start this year. And Cincinnati, if they don't have Joe Burrow, is going to be extremely lost. So I know it's a weird one, but I would keep your eyes out on this one because I feel like the line is going to get weird, especially if Burrow's out. It's going to swing towards Cleveland, obviously, but I would start taking up it now potentially on the Cleveland side because, like I said, if Burrow's out, you can get some good value here. If Burrow plays, Bengals are going to win. If he's out, it's going to be Cleveland, and they're going to cover the points.
Yeah, I actually concur wholeheartedly with the reasoning behind the spread and the wavering, and determining where the line is. But I have Cincy, without kind of a doubt at the moment. All things considered, with our expectations with Burrow being back, I think most of that. The questionable status is more like the Belichick questionable than it actually is a question of health. I think you'd be hearing more silence than you would normally out of that organization, or more worries, or more, less press conference, I guess, if Burrow was seriously in deep doo-doo with that injury. So I'll take them at 2.5 right now.
I actually think with or without Joe Burrow, the Cleveland Browns are going to get this upset. I think the Brown curse is going to continue. I think Deshaun Watson will play a little bit better than people assumed. And Cleveland is at home. I think that's a big factor in this. So the Buccaneers are going to Minnesota to play the Vikings. Minnesota's opening at -6. What do you see the situation going to be here? I actually think the Vikings are going to win, and they're going to win by a touchdown, and they're going to have a good start to their season.
I think it's going to be a sloppy game between the two. I'm going to have the Vikings winning this one, but I'm probably just going to take them on a money line if I'm going to pick them. The 6, I don't know. I feel like I said it's going to be sloppy, so I don't know if I trust the Vikings -6. I feel like it could be like a 3-point game or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I have Minnesota winning at home, but I think it's going to be a high turnover shootout kind of game. I think both defenses are really bad, and I think that a lot of both teams are kind of playing with house money going into the season. So I will take Minnesota. What was the spread, Matt?
-6.
Yeah, because I think this is going to be a game of touchdown possessions. So I think Minnesota will hold and win at 6.
Yeah, I think the Bucs are going to be very sloppy on offense. I think Baker's a ticking time bomb. And Todd Bowles isn't a good head coach. And he's going to show more of a reason why that's the case, especially offensively. So from there, the Tennessee Titans are going to play the New Orleans Saints. The New Orleans Saints are opening at -3. And I say the Titans are going to pull off the upset on this one. Again, Derek Carr is going to be a mess. I'm going to say here, Derek Carr at least 1 interception, get the -0.5 for interceptions and give that to him. I think this will be an example of week one hype being crazy. DeAndre Hopkins is going to have a great game, but yeah, I don't think there's not too much to look into it. I'm kind of surprised at the spread, to be honest with you. But Tennessee is going to win this one, and that's definitely an underdog game to take.
Yeah, I think this game can go either way. I'm going to go New Orleans starting off the season right. I'll take them with the points too. Um, but I think this one's going to be an interesting game. I think this is going to be definitely a back and forth to start the year, but I think the Saints are going to prevail at the end of the day.
Oh yeah, I have Saints without a doubt in my mind. I think this is going to be kind of a coming out party for week one for New Orleans and Carr.
All right. Interesting stuff. The Panthers and the Falcons are going to square off in Atlanta. Atlanta's opening at -3.5.
I like Atlanta. I'm going to take Atlanta in the points here. I think they're going to showcase their new offense. I think Desmond is going to come in firing, hopefully, with this new offense. So I like Atlanta in this one. I'm going to take them with points too.
Yeah, I had Atlanta winning at home as well. I'll take the points additionally, and I think this is going to be another sloppy game. A lot of mistakes, a lot of shaking off early nerves for two young rosters. But I'll take Atlanta with the points.
All right, Atlanta with the points on that one. Good stuff. Jacksonville's going to Indy. Jacksonville's opening at -5. What's going to happen here? Give it to Oh, by the way, I think for Panthers and Falcons, I think the Falcons are going to win and they're going to cover. And then with the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Indianapolis Colts, I think the Jaguars are going to cover that game as well. But I think Anthony Richardson's going to have a good game.
So I think this is probably the most lopsided game of the weekend. I think that this is going to be a blowout. Could be over at half almost, or at least the end of the third quarter. I have Jacksonville running away at least a 10-point or more margin of victory.
1 second. I'm trying to. What was the game?
Jacksonville and Indianapolis.
Yeah, because I just lost my place for a second. So yeah, because I was looking at other games too. I was like, some of these spreads are crazy. Yeah, I'm going to take Jacksonville on the points here. I think the Richardson era is going to get off to a rocky start. I think he's going to show some dynamic plays in there, but I think Trevor Lawrence and co are going to probably beat down Indianapolis. So I'm going to take them in the points.
In a matchup between two classic NFL franchises, the San Francisco 49ers are going to Pittsburgh. Very cool matchup here. San Francisco is opening at -2.5. San Francisco is going to open the season with the win, and Kenny Pickett's not going to have a good game. I think this is the overhype that's going into the Steelers with him especially is going to take a hard hit week one. And San Francisco is going to start a very big season for them with a victory, even with some of the very early concerns. I think George Kittle might not start. He might be injured already. I think Nick Bosa will be on the field there and have a stellar game. But 49ers are going to take the victory on this one.
This is my lock of the week. I'm going to take the 49ers in the points. I think they're going to beat down on the Steelers to kick off the season. I think Brock Purdy's going to put a staple on this game to show that it was smart for them to trade Trey Lance and get the 49ers fans fired up. So I'm going to take the 49ers here in the points.
Wow. I have an entirely 180 view of this game. I actually have this as one of the other upsets of the week. I have Pittsburgh showing up week one. I think that a lot of pride playing home, particularly with a franchise like this. And I think that San Francisco historically in recent years past, they've come out really slow out the gate, particularly with the way their season ended last year. I think that they'll get it corrected almost immediately, like week 3 or 4, they'll be back on track. But I think the first couple of weeks, you're going to see some hiccups. We look back to last year, they lost to Chicago. So I think that the same thing.
That's right.
I think the same thing could happen here in Pittsburgh.
Cardinals and Commanders. Arizona's going to Washington. Washington opens at -7. Give this to the Commanders and beat them pretty easily. And for the starting quarterback for the Cardinals, what's his name? See it's irrelevant at this point, but
Josh Dobbs.
Josh Dobbs. I think he's not going to play well, and people are going to start the tank for Caleb chance.
Probably. I would not be surprised here. I'm going to take the Commanders here. Again, you could probably make this the lock of the week just because it's the Cardinals, but who knows? Maybe the Cardinals surprise people, but no, I'm just going to take Commanders. I'm not going to take the spread. I feel like this is going to be a weird one, but the Commanders are going to win.
I think this is probably like the ugliest, worst game of the weekend, but I will take Commanders pretty comfortably. I think that they're probably looking at the outset of this season pretty optimistically. They know that their division's loaded, but I think that there's a reboost of confidence in this organization with all the transformation that's gone on in the front office all the way down to the roster. And I believe that their coach there is a winner. Been following him for years with Carolina, and I think that he's going to have them ready to play.
All right, good stuff on this one. So the next matchup, going to go to the West Coast games. I'm sorry, we're going to go to the 425 games, most of them taking place on the West Coast. So, Alex, Ranelio, you're going to be watching because you have the Las Vegas Raiders take on the Denver Broncos. Denver opening at -3.5. I think your Raiders are going to start 1-0. I really believe they're going down to Denver and they're going to rain on the Sean Payton party, and Russell Wilson will start his true decline out of the NFL.
Yeah, I had our team upsetting Denver week 1 as well. I think it's going to take time to develop that relationship with Payton and Russell, and I think that Vegas is they're going to be hungry. They typically historically have really hot starts the first quarter of the season, whether they go 3-1 or 4-0. I think that'll be a lot of the same this year around, and I think they'll win by at least 3 actually. So.
Yeah, I'm going to go at as well with the Raiders. I think they're going to get a tough road win here. Just don't trust Wilson enough yet, and we'll see what happens to start the Payton era. They might prove us all wrong, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Raiders catch the Broncos off guard here and get the win. I'm going to take them, and I'm also going to take it with the 3.5 too. I think they'll win by at least a touchdown.
Sweet. The Miami Dolphins are going out to play the Los Angeles Chargers. The Chargers opening at -3. Actually going to give the Dolphins on this one. I think Miami's going to win. I think they're just going to be able to hit the spread, and they're going to be a successful underdog this weekend. I'm really feeling some underdogs this upcoming weekend. Miami defeating the Chargers is for me. What about you guys?
Yeah, I'm going to take Miami with the points as well. I think if Tua can stay healthy to start the season, this offense is probably going to be one of the best in football. They proved that at the beginning of last year as well. I think they can continue it at the beginning of this year. So I'm going to go Dolphins with the points.
I'm going to go Chargers, but they're not going to be able to cover. I think that they'll have a warm home opener, and I just have more questions than most about this Miami team, whether it's health preservation or the offense fluidity. I'm a big fan of McDaniel, but I just think the Chargers will prevail at home week 1.
The Eagles are going to play the Patriots. They're going up to New England. New England is going to be honoring Tom Brady. But will the Philadelphia Eagles rain on Brady's parade again? Philly opens at -4. I actually think the Eagles are going to win. They're going to win pretty handily. And there's going to be panic starting to hit up in Foxborough.
Yeah, I agree. Great that they're honoring Brady. But yeah, the Eagles are going to rain on that parade. And And yeah, I'm going to take them. And I think they're going to beat the Patriots pretty handily. So I'm going to also take them -4.
I think this game could get out of hand pretty early. I have Philly winning by at least 10 points. I think this is going to this might be the biggest next to Jacksonville, Indianapolis. I think this could be the biggest blowout of the weekend.
All right. Wouldn't mind that. The Packers are going to play the Bears. The Packers are going to Chicago. Chicago's only a 1-point favorite. Without Aaron Rodgers, can the Packers still dominate the Chicago Bears like they have the past decade? I actually think Jordan Love is going to pull this off. The underdog's going to win again. And give me Green Bay for this.
I'm going with Chicago. You guys already know. I think they're going to win the division. The way to win the division, you've got to start off with some wins. So I think they're going to win, and I'm going to take the -1. I think they're going to beat the Packers by at least a few.
Yeah, I have Chicago winning in an ugly kind of slow moving game. I think it's going to be something like a 13-10 type of game. But I expect Chicago to pull it off.
All right. And the final 425 game to talk about is the Los Angeles Rams going up to Seattle. Seattle's opening at -5. I think Seattle wins this. And they're going to have a very good day up in Qualcomm Stadium, I think it's called. Seattle, they're going to get this victory.
Yeah, I also agree. I think Seattle's going to get the victory as well. It's probably one of the most boring games of the weekend, especially in the afternoon time slot. I think there's a lot of better options, but I'm going to go with Seattle here, just outright. I don't like the points. I don't know. There's something about it. It's not catching my eye.
Yeah, I think it's going to be kind of an ugly game too. But I actually have the Rams winning on the road. Again, I've alluded to it earlier when we covered this division. I'm just a little higher on McVay as a bounce back season for him, being able to guide this team with a little less than years past. And I think that Rams will win an ugly game here in Seattle.
Okay. Now, these last two games will be very interesting to talk about. All right. Sunday night, we have the Dallas Cowboys going to MetLife Stadium. Alex Young is going to be there, so going to be very, very looking forward to hearing what he has to say about that environment. There's did you see Alex there asking to blue out?
Yeah. Last year was weird. They did a
whiteout.
They did a whiteout with the Cowboys.
For the Cowboys, yeah.
So which is weird. So this year they're gonna blue out. I like it. I'll be rocking my Saquon jersey. I'm excited for it. But yeah.
Yeah. And by the way, the Cowboys are opening at -3.5. And what do we have to say about the Cowboys and the Giants? Again, this Giants team is very underestimated. I think they'll finally beat the Cowboys for the first time in years. And they're playing each other at home for the first time in MetLife. They don't actually have to go to Dallas. And I really think that Daboll will have a very important victory in his Giants tenure. I think Daniel Jones will have a very shockingly good game, and they will facilitate the new weapons he has, especially Darren Waller. And please stay healthy, especially in this game with a huge national spotlight on it. I think the New York Giants are going to pull this off, and I think they might just win by a field goal. But as the underdogs, you can win by half a point and you still win. So give me Big Blue on this one.
Yeah, I agree with you as well. Not Giants aside, bias aside. I think they're going to go in. I think they're going to, shock people with the way they come firing. And I think they're going to cover. Win or lose here, I think it's going to be very, very close. I think it's going to be a field goal game. So if you pick the Giants, they obviously will cover that. I'm going to go with Giants to win, but I'm also going to have the points. So I think this game is really going to be a tough one. The Giants have played the Cowboys tough the last few times. I know some scores got out of hand late, but I think this is going to be a great start to the season for the Giants. So I'm going to take them to win, but I'm also going to take them also to cover the spread as well.
2-20, 2-12 the past 2 years against our division. That's changing this year.
What's the spread again?
minus 3.5.
Minus 3.5. Cowboys.
Oh, I feel actually pretty comfortable taking that. I think Dallas will win by 4, just by virtue of how the drives in the second half shake out. But I actually have Dallas going in and shocking because on paper I wrestled with this one. I had the Giants all week coming into the week, but at the last turn, I like what I've seen, what I've been hearing from Dallas in training camp. I'm going to go Dallas week 1 on the road by 4.
And then the final game of week 1, September 11th, the 22nd anniversary. And we have the Buffalo Bills going against the New York Jets at MetLife Stadium Monday night. Buffalo opens at minus 2.5. Some people think this might be one of the highest rated football games ever. A lot is on the line. I've been thinking about this game since Rodgers got traded, and deep down my gut honestly picks the Jets. I think the Jets will have a shocking victory. Again, I'm not as hyped on Buffalo as other people are. I think Aaron Rodgers is going to have a very impressive game and show that he means boss in this. And he is on a very big journey. He is on a big journey to enhance his legacy for life, to be the one that leads the Jets to the Super Bowl. I think Aaron Rodgers specifically starts that journey tonight or Monday night.
Yeah, I agree as well. Like I said, I think Buffalo's still going to win the division. We had that talk before, but I think the Jets in this matchup are going to win. I think Rodgers, big stage at home, right? Yeah, they're going to be.
Yep, right at MetLife Stadium the night after
day.
you're
so
there.
Quick turnaround for those MetLife employees. So good luck to them.
Yes, shouts to the crew.
New turf. Yeah, I think new turf. So hopefully that means no more injuries. But I think the Jets are going to come off and take this one. I think Rodgers and company are going to get off on the right foot here in a tough divisional battle start of the season. So I'm going to take the Jets to win.
Yeah, I have the Jets winning actually pretty comfortably. I think this will be kind of an inaugural coming out party to see what is to come for the remainder of the season. I think it will be one of the higher rated games just from a competitive standpoint and just the nominal nature of the anniversary of 9/11.
Yeah, don't want to mess that up.
Well, I sort of already did because I made a steel beams meme joke today on Instagram. But it's going to be a great game. I'm excited to tune in, and I have Jets winning pretty comfortably and welcoming Aaron into New York City. So,
all right, that wraps us up, gentlemen. Successful preview. Made some declarations that none of us will take back. We'll have a lot of fun doing it. We will see you again next Wednesday to look back on week 1 and look ahead to week 2. All right, guys. See you then.
Thank you. See you soon.
All right.
Better.